Hi, I'm Sarah Gray Sanders for New to the Street on location at the NIBA conference located in the Westin Hotel at Times Square. And we are here with Patrick Six and John Olnick of Greenway Technology, Inc. And since we last spoke, what is new that our audience would like to know about at Greenway Technology?
We were here in January, and since that time, the team of New to the Street has come and visited us in Texas. And they visited the university, and we had interviews with the professors right there in the lab, also with the president of the university, which is a great story. And then they also shot at the manufacturing plant our new G-reformer, which produces 125 barrels a day. Since that time, there was always a question, can you scale up the lab model to commercialability? So on February 28th and March 2nd, we proved to the world that we can scale up the G-reformer to commercialability and produce 125 barrels of synthetic fuel, synthetic gas, which then goes through our FT process and makes the fuel, the synthetic fuel.
And we talked about how Greenway Technologies produces a diesel fuel with an extremely high octane level. Can you produce any other forms of fuel?
Well, actually, it's not octane, it's cetane.
Okay.
And that's a very good segue because most people think of gasoline, they think of octane when they fill up their car. Cetane and diesel is the same type of measurement, except it's used in cetane. It's used in diesel. What we can do with our product, because it is green, there's no particulate matter in it. We make not only the diesel fuel, but we make jet fuel and we make naphtha, which all three have extremely important uses in the economy.
And what are you forecasting as an average plant that will produce in barrels?
What we've done is we've taken our unit, our GTL unit, and we've isolated it to 125 barrels a day. So we can actually take 1.5 million cubic feet of gas a day and make 125 to 150 barrels a day. Now, keeping in mind, if somebody has 5 million cubic feet of gas a day and they need to make 500 barrels a day, that would be 4 G-reformers. So our G-reformer unit is actually for 125 to 150 barrels a day, and we scale up from that point.
What does this mean for Greenway Technologies and for the investors?
Well, we are at the precipice of a game changer in an industry, being the oil and gas industry. The best way I can answer this, there's an expert who's actually known as the guru of natural gas, Sharif Suki. And on the Jim Cramer Mad Money show in January, he made a statement. And that statement was, there is enough natural gas in this country right now that we need to spend $150 billion, that's with a B, for infrastructure alone to get that natural gas to market. We can take the natural gas for all of our shareholders and have a market. If we can only get a small percentage of $150 billion infrastructure, we have a great company. And that's good for the investors, our joint venture partners, and our shareholders.
And now that we have an operational activation of the G-reformer, what are you looking for in the business and investor community?
We are actually so close. We have several people that we're talking to, 2 oil companies, 3 groups of investors. We're looking for a joint venture partner who will come along and believe us to build the first commercial G-reformer, or first commercial GTL unit. Because we know there's plenty of people in line stacked up to take 2 through infinity. So our key and our focus right now is finding the right partner right now.
Great, and we have discussed the viability of the diesel fuel. What plans do you have for the byproducts of the process?
You know, it's really interesting because when people think of byproducts, they think of things they've got to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
It's waste or something like that. Well, our two byproducts are pure water and pharmaceutical water that could be sold to breweries, the city, pure water that can be sold for fracking, for drinking. So it's a profitable product, but at the same time, we create enough heat through our G-reformer, we create electricity. Now, we create enough electricity that we can run our unit on a daily basis and have more than enough left over to either sell to the municipalities around us or industry around us or back into the grid. So it's our byproducts are profitable to our shareholders.
Great, I'm sure they love that.
Oh, yes.
And John, how did you get involved in the company?
Well, my background is not oil and gas. It's been technology. And I've been involved for my whole career in high-tech startups, turnarounds, and both at high-level corporations and at small startups. I was first introduced to Pat and Greenway about a year and a half ago by a colleague of mine from the tech world who had gotten involved with them and said, John, you've got to come to Dallas, where he lives. You've got to hear this story. I'm not sure if you're going to believe it or be interested in it, but just would like your thoughts on it because he was getting involved. So I had the opportunity to meet Pat and some of the other members of the team about a year and a half ago. I was very impressed. I'm a skeptical New Yorker.
Yeah.
I'm not a Texan, as you can tell by my accent. And I looked at it as saying, is this a company, looking at it from the outside, that has a vision? Is it viable? Is it achievable? Are they going to make it happen? Is the right team, people, process, is it all in place? I was very impressed. So my first step was to buy some stock. So I started out the relationship as an investor. Fortunately, about the same time, I had the opportunity to kind of join the team and be a business advisor to Pat and other members of the team. Since that time, in that last year and a half, what I've seen has been impressive. They've done what they said they're going to do. They've stayed on plan, and I'm happy to be part of the team. I think they're heading to a very exciting place, and I think major inflection points in terms of the growth of the company and achievement of the vision are essentially right here.
Oh, what a great story.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.